my goodness, this is rather interesting that Sue Bird has brought this up to Kelsey Mitchell in light of some of the drama from a couple of days ago when Stephanie White was very clear and there was no confusion looking at anybody out there, including people on YouTube, that may think that was misconstrued, even though Stephanie White is the one that said these things. And I'm not going to go after specific YouTubers because that's not what I do. But the idea that people weren't going to take her words literally.
Stephanie White's words hit like a wrecking ball. She declared Kelsey Mitchell the team's absolute priority, igniting a firestorm that was anything but misconstrued. The message was clear, instantly putting a spotlight on a relationship nobody expected to be under such intense scrutiny. Fans watched, horrified, as the coach's vision for the Fever seemingly threw the most transformative talent in the WNBA into question. This wasn't just a strategic choice, it was a perceived declaration of war on a fanbase desperate for a generational icon to be the centerpiece. The fallout was immediate, brutal, and sparked a player dynamic debate that would redefine the team's future and reveal surprising truths.
It was easy to see this coming, like clockwork really, because Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell complement each other on the floor and off the floor. They complement each other on the floor as the most dangerous duo in the WNBA, the most fearsome backcourt. Clark's ability to control the game, shoot from deep, bring the defense out, dice you up with the passes, get to the cup. Kelsey Mitchell's ability to just score in microwave fashion, unstoppable, so fast, back cuts, getting up and down the floor, breaking you down off boogie moves. Together, it's essentially unstoppable. Even one or the other is unstoppable at times. So
The drama exploded after White's statements caused significant blowback. The coach insisted on building around Kelsey Mitchell, a stance many immediately called out as baffling. How could you prioritize building around one player when a generational Jordan-light talent like Caitlin Clark was on the roster? This wasn't building a cohesive team. It felt like a deliberate choice to sideline the player who had already changed the entire league's trajectory. The comparison to historical sports dynasties, where coaches built around their true superstar, not a complementary piece, was stark and damning, exposing a fundamental philosophical rift.
It's the building around Kelsey Mitchell that I took issue with, because you got a generational Jordan-like talent on this team in Caitlin Clark. The Bulls did not choose to build around Scottie Pippen. All right? Look. The Blazers weren't building around Terry Porter. They were building around Clyde Drexler. I mean, the Knicks weren't building around Anthony Mason or John Starks or Derek Harper. They were building around Patrick Ewing. We could go on.
Critics quickly pointed to undeniable legends. The Chicago Bulls never built around Scottie Pippen, they built around Michael Jordan. The Portland Trail Blazers focused on Clyde Drexler, not Terry Porter. Even the storied Boston Celtics, with all their talent, centered their dynasty around Larry Bird, not Kevin McHale. So why would the Indiana Fever seemingly choose asterisk, not asterisk, to build around Caitlin Clark? This wasn't just a philosophical debate, it was a fundamental disagreement about team construction when presented with a truly transcendent talent. The initial relationship shocker wasn't between players, but between management's declared intent and common sense team building.
MVP Kelsey t-shirts, apparently her idea, right? Like that's all part of this. So these narratives that come into play are increasingly ridiculous, and increasingly, basically just fueled by nonsense. And Sue Bird had Kelsey Mitchell on her podcast. And basically, Sue talked to Kelsey about the setup for this was how difficult it is to deal with some of the narratives, because when you have a figure like Caitlin Clark who comes in, it is indeed so transformative, meaning, the entire dynamics of things can change as far as
adding significant fuel to the burgeoning fire. Amber Cox, another key voice within the organization, publicly doubled down. She confirmed that re-signing Kelsey Mitchell was, unequivocally, the organization's top priority. On its surface, this seemed like a logical statement for a star player approaching free agency. But in the shadow of Stephanie White's earlier, controversial remarks, it sounded less like a routine management update and more like an echo of a questionable strategic decision. Fans and analysts alike questioned if the Fever truly grasped the unique opportunity and immense responsibility they had with Clark's unprecedented impact.
Coach.
In your locker room. So what do you think, or do you feel like people sometimes just like overlook your leadership specifically and your impact on the team from like a chemistry standpoint, because there's just so many narratives? So like, do you think people are overlooking that?
I think that in a short, yeah. I think naturally, yes, because of the society, the social media, and how bad, people take to social media and abuse it for in the wrong realm of light. And so I think that's one part of it. But I also think that
Covering basketball teams is now abusing.
Yet, amidst this swirling organizational turmoil and public outcry, an unexpected and crucial voice emerged, Kelsey Mitchell herself. On Sue Bird's highly regarded Bird's Eye podcast, Mitchell directly addressed the weird narratives that were swirling around the team and her relationship with Clark. Her comments painted a picture starkly different from the public perception of conflict and ego clashes. She spoke openly about the necessary adjustment period everyone faced with Clark's arrival, but her tone was one of understanding and appreciation, not resentment or veiled criticism, completely reshaping the narrative.
Clark, who comes in, it is indeed so transformative, meaning, the entire dynamics of things can change as far as the amount of attention, what is being said. It's just yesterday is not the same as today when there is that kind of sea change. Here's what Kelsey Mitchell had to say in response, at least part.
that was big for everybody. Pacers Entertainment, Fever Organization. I felt like at that time there was a lot of role playing that had to be situated. I feel like that when something that big or someone that big who has that much impact comes into something, there are a lot of
Mitchell's revelation about Caitlin Clark was a stunning counter-narrative to the media's speculative drama. She emphatically emphasized Clark's humility, stating with clear conviction she never was bigger than a program. This wasn't a player trying to take over or be bigger than anybody in the locker room. Instead, Clark consistently demonstrated an understanding of fitting into a team, making sure we have chemistry. This direct, heartfelt testimony from a key veteran player immediately shattered the manufactured image of an ego clash, revealing a surprisingly harmonious internal dynamic that the public hadn't seen.
Fever Organization. I felt like at that time there was a lot of role playing that had to be situated. I feel like that when something that big or someone that big who has that much impact comes into something, there are a lot of adjustments that people have to make. On the floor, off the floor, in the locker room, in the training room. Just a lot of stuff, is a lot of moving parts. And I think the biggest part that I respected about Caitlin is that she never was bigger than a program. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, it wasn't like she wasn't trying to take over. It wasn't, I don't know.
Kelsey Mitchell went even further, highlighting how Clark's unique style of play complemented me and up-complimenting AB Alia Boston. This wasn't just about individual talent, it was about synergistic teamwork on the court. Mitchell praised Clark's unwavering passion for basketball, noting it remained the same whether she was playing or not, even when injured. This deep respect from a veteran player who had every reason to feel overshadowed directly challenged every negative narrative spun about Clark's impact on team chemistry and revealed a profound mutual admiration that defied all expectations.
That I respected about Caitlin is that she never was bigger than a program. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, it wasn't like she wasn't trying to take over. It wasn't, I don't know how to explain that. You know what I'm trying to say, though?
Yeah, no, I know what you're trying to say. It's like she knows who she is. She comes in. She's going to obviously do her part because that's what being a professional athlete is. But with the understanding of fitting into a team, making sure we fit, making sure we have chemistry. So it's never bigger than like the group
it's like
itself.
She wasn't trying to be bigger than everybody. Like within our locker room, she wasn't trying to be bigger than anyone else. And I think the way that her style.
The intimate details continued to spill out, with Mitchell describing her relationship with Clark as being like my little sister. She openly revealed their shared love for the game, often talking about basketball and even playfully trolling each other. This wasn't merely professional respect. It was a genuine bond, a deep friendship that seemed to blossom organically despite intense external pressures. It brutally exposed the stark contrast between the warm locker room reality and the cold, often fabricated, speculative drama pushed by some media outlets. The true relationship shocker was how strong their bond actually was.
Within our locker room, she wasn't trying to be bigger than anyone else. And I think the way that her style of play, it ended up complimenting me, ended up complimenting AB. And so, like, the one thing I love about Caitlin, too, is that we all love basketball the same way. We all have our different styles of way of playing it, but the passion for it with Caitlin, when she didn't play compared to when she did play, remained the same. And, like, I respected that about her because it could have easily not been that way. You know, you have people that come in and not want to do or buy in once it's not, you know, or once it don't go their way, or once unfortunate things happen and you can't play and injury happens and you're not getting your body the way you want to.
This profound player-level unity stood in stark contrast to the perceived strategic blunder from the coaching staff and management, while Stephanie White's remarks seemed to inadvertently pit stars against each other by explicitly prioritizing one. The players themselves consistently showcased a surprisingly united front. The real relationship shocker wasn't a conflict between players, but the glaring disconnect between what was being publicly said about the team and what was genuinely happening within it. This chasm of understanding created unnecessary tension and undermined the incredible talent on the roster, baffling fans.
I love play. It ended up complimenting me, ended up complimenting AB. And so, like, the one thing I love about Caitlin, too, is that we all love basketball the same way. We all have our different styles of way of playing it, but the passion for it with Caitlin, when she didn't play compared to when she did play, remained the same. And, like, I respected that about her because it could have easily not been that way. You know, you have people that come in and not want to do or buy in once it's not, you know, or once it don't go their way, or once unfortunate things happen and you can't play and injury happens and you're not getting your body the way you want to. And so I can respect the fact that she kept the program, and she didn't let her passion for.
The on-court chemistry between Clark and Mitchell was equally undeniable, proving their synergy wasn't just emotional but strategically potent. Together, they formed what was clearly the most dangerous duo in the WNBA, a truly fearsome backcourt. Clark's deep shooting range, court vision, and elite passing perfectly complemented Mitchell's microwave fashion scoring ability and explosive speed. Individually formidable, when combined, they were essentially unstoppable, a dynamic pairing that maximized both their considerable talents and terrified opposing defenses with their offensive firepower and fluid collaboration.
She absolutely gave it everything. Aaliyah Boston's production dropped off the map when Caitlin Clark finally went out, and that was it, because that catalyst was no longer there to feed Aaliyah Boston the ball, you know? So I think this team is better, generally speaking, probably with all three of them. I do. Whether or not Kelsey decides to stay, I don't know. It may be the number one priority for Amber Cox, but is it the number one priority for Kelsey Mitchell?
Caitlin Clark's immense impact extended far beyond her connection with Mitchell. Aaliyah Boston certainly thrived more when Caitlin Clark was in the lineup, benefiting immensely from a Stockton-Malone dynamic where Clark consistently fed her the ball in optimal positions. In a chilling and telling revelation, Boston's production dramatically dropped off the map when Clark was sidelined due to injury. This stark contrast powerfully underscored Clark's foundational role, not just as a scorer, but as a primary catalyst and facilitator, crucial for the team's overall offensive output and Boston's individual success.
About Caitlin Clark, of course, longtime teammates at this point, relatively speaking, a couple of years into Caitlin Clark's WNBA career. Kelsey Mitchell is a free agent. I mean, that is a looming story for the Fever. So until she signs on the dotted line to return, that future remains at least part in question. You look, the entire league's future is in question when it comes to free agency for the most part. The Fever actually have more players locked up than most teams, considering Caitlin Clark is still on her deal, Aaliyah Boston is still on her deal, and Lexi Hull is a restricted free agent, meaning the Fever can match
Ironically, Kelsey Mitchell herself jacked up her production and started grinding to compensate when Clark ultimately went out, taking on an immense and unsustainable scoring load. This aggressive, albeit admirable, effort tragically led to a serious health scare, where she had to be physically hauled off the court, visibly exhausted and in distress. It painfully highlighted the immense pressure placed on Mitchell to carry the team in Clark's absence, further proving the absolute necessity of their complementary roles and underscoring the team's reliance on both stars to thrive, exposing a lack of depth.
Kelsey may want to be the number one on a different team. Now, I would tend to believe that from a branding standpoint, it's more valuable for her to be a number 2 on what could be America's team. And I thought it for sure it was America's team for a while. And I think as far as the WNBA goes, it is America's team. But until they get some management issues sorted out, kind of got to kind of pull back on that. Because
the conversation then pivoted to Mitchell's looming free agency, a critical juncture for the team. While Amber Cox declared her re-signing a number 1 priority, the speaker questioned if it was truly Mitchell's number 1 priority too. There's a strong argument to be made for her to stay as number 2 on what could be America's team from a branding and exposure standpoint. However, if management truly failed to recognize Clark's central transformative role and instead favored a different strategic direction, would Mitchell genuinely want to remain in a potentially mismanaged situation despite the friendships?
Free agency as she should be. That was what Stephanie White talked about the other day that got the blowback. I mean, so many people missed the context of the question that was asked to her, which was about free agency and how could Kelsey Mitchell not be the number 1 priority in free agency. And of course, they want to continue building around Kelsey Mitchell. They want to continue building around that core. But it's unmistakable what Caitlin Clark brings when she walks in the door. You see it on the floor, right? Like you see it, it's the reason for everything else. All of the rest comes because of that. All of the rest has been built on that.
Beyond the player dynamics and management decisions, a massive portion of fans were absolutely furious with the Fever organization and the broader WNBA over how Clark's injury was publicly handled. The organization was accused of keeping stringing fans along, leading countless people to spend hard-earned money on tickets with the explicit expectation of seeing her return, only for her to remain sidelined for an extended period. This felt very shady and shattered trust, creating another devastating relationship shocker between the team and its loyal paying supporters, whose patience wore thin.
Because there's a lot of trust issues now between many Caitlin Clark fans and the organization because of how the injury was disclosed and handled and all that drama. I got to tell you right now, there is a massive portion of fans, and I'm not sure a lot of fans realize this, there's a massive portion of fans that are furious with the Indiana Fever and with the WNBA over how that injury was handled, and they kept stringing fans along. Fans are pissed off over that, and rightfully so for people that...
These trust issues quickly extended to the entire upper management and coaching staff. The speaker questioned if the Fever would genuinely become aware that they can be America's team, and they embraced that, given the string of recent fumbles. This organizational self-awareness was crucial for rebuilding fan confidence and capitalizing on the unprecedented attention, but the injury debacle and Stephanie White's controversial comments made it a daunting, steep uphill battle. The disconnect felt palpable, making fans wonder if leadership truly understood the moment they were in.
Adjusted, right? All of the other things can be configured. And the thing that the Fever have that can't be made up or replicated is the complement of their all-stars. And that's why you see them complement each other when they're playing or complement each other when they're doing interviews.
Despite the external chaos and internal organizational missteps, the team itself seemed to have bonded through all that. Caitlin Clark's exit interview powerfully reinforced this, citing friendship as a part of the foundation for their remarkable resilience throughout a challenging season. Kelsey Mitchell literally put herself on the line, giving literally everything she had on the court, a testament to her unwavering dedication to her teammates and the program, not just individual accolades. This strong internal bond kept them together, showcasing a resilience that defied the external pressures and narratives. The sheer, undeniable talent on the roster, Caitlin Clark first-team All-WNBA, Aliyah Boston, second-team All-WNBA, and Kelsey Mitchell first-team All-WNBA, made the entire internal strife narrative even more preposterous. The reality was, all of them like each other, and all of them fit one another's game on the floor. This trio represented a formidable complementary core, proving that the supposed relationship shocker between players was nothing more than a fabrication, a phantom conflict manufactured by external pressures and speculative media, obscuring the genuine camaraderie that truly existed. The real shocker wasn't a player feud, but the incredible disconnect between external narratives and internal team harmony. While Stephanie White's comments sparked a controversial fire, and the organization's handling of injuries alienated a massive fan base, the players themselves, led by Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark, maintained genuine respect, deep friendship, and undeniable chemistry. The Fever's true challenge isn't its stars, but whether management can finally build around a generational talent with clear vision, rather than sowing seeds of perceived division and jeopardizing the most exciting team in the league.